Hey guys, Deeble here. Today we'll be looking at World of Warships, just kind of going over some of the basics for new players. This game just came out on Tuesday this week, so I think the vast majority of people are either brand new or just getting started. I was on the alpha tester team in the later part of 2018, so we were able to play a fair amount of battles and kind of give the feedback to the developers as the game is coming along. So when you start off, the first 15-20 battles, you kind of unlock more and more features, just kind of gradually introduces you to the game. So you'll start off, I think it's first 2 or 3 battles you play with a team of humans against AI, and then after, like I said, a few battles, then you'll unlock standard mode, which is kind of the main mode that you'll be playing. It's human v human. And so you can see on the bottom we have American, Japanese, and British lines to start. They'll be introducing more nations as the game develops along, but to start off in your Tier 1 ships. All the Tier 1s in this game are cruisers. You can see I got if you look at the icon next to the ship name, this is a destroyer, the triangle. Cruiser has kind of that bullet-shaped icon with one line through it. I don't have any battleships unlocked yet, but they'll have the same bullet-shaped icon with 2 lines. Those will be the battleships. And then I think they're planning on releasing aircraft carriers as the game develops. Those are out on the PC version, but they're not out on Legends yet. So we'll take a look at a ship here. So this is a Tier 2 American destroyer. If you kind of look at the ships packages, you can see in the top left corner you got upgrades, loadout, and stats. So on the upgrades page, first you want to look at your ship's XP. So you can see I got about 2,000 out of 6,300, which once you max out your XP on the ship, it'll be eluded, and you'll be able to unlock the next tier, or everything in that ship's package, basically. So you can see this white bar. I got enough XP on this ship to unlock the first 2 packages. You can look at here. Some packages will have 1 slot or 1 upgrade available. Some will have multiples that you can choose from. I think the lower tier ships mostly just have 1. So you can see on this particular one, if I put this on, it increases your fire range and costs 320 silver. And you can see on top there I got 502,000, so I got plenty to do that. So that's how you do that. You generally want to put on a package every time you're able to do that. Just increases the overall performance of your ship. And if you go to the loadout page, it's got ammunition types. Most ships will have both high explosive and armor piercing shells. Some of the lower tier ones only have one or the other. And I'll kind of go over when you want to use both of those when we look at a game here in a second. Destroyers will have torpedoes, and some of the cruisers do. I think the Americans typically don't, but like the Japanese and I think the British usually have torpedoes. And then consumables, again, we'll go over these in the game, but this one's kind of puts out fires and recovers for floods. On destroyers, you'll have like a smoke screen and engine boost, and as you go on, there's like things like radar and scout planes you can launch and stuff like that. So it's all in your consumables. Boosters you kind of unlock through doing missions and stuff. That's like an XP booster, you can put those on. You can see I got 17. And then camouflage, I got some of these because I got some package for being a early adopter or whatever, I can't remember what it's called, but being involved with the game, they gave us some camouflage, so you can put those on there. And then the stats page of your ship's thing. New players, this isn't massively important, but as you get more and more familiar with the game, you'll kind of want to take a look at your ship, especially like under artillery, you got your shell range, and if you're playing a ship with torpedoes, you should definitely take a look at your torpedo range, because if the target's further out than, in this case, 4.5, then you're kind of wasting your torpedoes by shooting them early. But this will, you know, like I say, as you get more and more familiar with the game, just take a look at your ship's stats and be familiar with them. And you can see a commander in the bottom left corner there. That's another feature that unlocks. Probably takes 10-15 games to unlock those. So we'll take a look at the commander screen. Here we got George Dewey, which is the first American commander available. We'll take a look at his profile. So right here under the base trait, you can see he's got the 6th sense survivability skill, increases the torpedo visibility range. Here's your rank. So you can see I got 27.58 thousand commander XP points. This is where you put those on. So like if I want to level him up, I can spend 1,000 points there, and that'll rank up the commander. And as you go, that actually unlocked another. Oh no. Yeah, I think we can. So concealment rating, battery traverse speed, torpedo visibility range. Put that on here. So as you rank up your commander more and more, you'll unlock more of these, and I guess you can probably put more on. They introduced the commander right at the end of the alpha, so I'm not massively familiar with it yet. And then each rank has 3 different things, so you can kind of look through those. And then over here is inspirations, which I guess unlock at tier 7 or rank 7. So that's how you work the commander. And then as you play, you'll get more and more commanders unlocked, so something to play around with. So yeah, I think that's everything you need to know from this screen. So we'll take a look at a match here and kind of go over some of the gameplay basics. Alright, so we'll be hopping into a game here. This is in the tier 2 Japanese cruiser. So you can see on the lower right, the square button on PS4 triggers ammo type. So you start off in this case on armor piercing, and you can toggle back and forth between that and high explosive. This game is like World of Tanks in that it's very easy on a basic level, and then there's many layers to go through. So I'll give you the basic overview on the ammo right now, but keep in mind it's more in depth, and I'll probably go over that in future videos. Before I talk about the ammo, I just do want to point out that a lot of new players just kind of rush into the thick things like they do in World of Tanks. You kind of want to find an island if you can and get near that and kind of use that as cover, but kind of resist the urge to barrel full bore into the enemy team. And here I'm looking at the torpedoes, again on destroyers and a lot of cruisers. So there's a wide angle and narrow angle, and you can see that white band. That's where I was aiming. And if you have an enemy ship targeted, I'll show you in a little bit how to aim those. But going back to the ammo, armor piercing in general, if the enemy's showing you the side of their ship, that's best to shoot armor piercing. And if it's pointing directly at you or away from you, that's typically when you want to use high explosive. And again, it's a much more complicated topic than that, but that's a good rule of thumb to start with. So this game's a lot of detection mechanics come into play in this game as well. If you're familiar with World of Tanks, you know how important it is in that game, and it's no different here. Each ship will have a view range and like a camo rating, and if you're hidden behind an island and they don't have direct view at you, that'll prevent them from spotting it and so forth. And then there's, as you progress along, ships will have spotting planes and stuff to increase their view range. So you can see on the right hand all the way over, there's the full all the way down to stop, and then full reverse. That's your speed. So I'm kind of almost parking it, just kind of moving a little bit. And then I am kind of trying to angle my armor a little bit towards them. It's harder to penetrate if you're facing directly at them. Now see here I'm shooting torpedoes, so that the like darker gray box, that's where if the ship continues on in its current trajectory, that's where it'll go. So you kind of want to line up your aim reticle with that, and we'll take another look at torpedoes here as the game goes on. And again, these ships are kind of showing me their sides, so we're shooting armor piercing. You can see my alarms going off because I'm pointed at an island. I'm not really too worried about it because I'm almost stopped, but you can get stuck on islands actually quite easily, so you do want to be cognizant of where you're driving. It can be Could be really tough to get off a beach if you get stuck on it. So, and then you're a sitting duck. Believe me, if you beach yourself, if an enemy ship's got a line of sight at you, you're gonna get wrecked pretty quickly. So, this game you do want to kind of try and stick with your teammates if you can. Cruiser class, again, I'll probably go over make a cruiser video, but it's kind of a support tank. So here you can see this tank doesn't see me quite yet. I'm kind of lining up a torpedo shot. So again, the dark gray box, that's where he's pointing, and then I'm lining up my lighter white box with them. And as the torpedoes go to the target. Now we did get set on fire, so you can see on the lower left there, the D-pad, that's how I activated that fire extinguisher. Now it's got a minute cooldown, so if I get set on fire again, I won't be able to put that out quite yet. I did hit him with one torpedo shot, looked like, but missed a couple of them. Now another thing to keep in mind, you can see on your ship's diagram, keep an eye on where those guns are pointing. When they're yellow like that, they're not pointing at the target. When they're white, they are. So it takes a while. It's called turret traverse speed, but it takes a while for the guns to point at them. And you can see those circles on where I'm aiming in the center of the screen. That's where all those guns are aiming. And you can see there's an alarm that goes off and torpedoes come at you. So, along with kind of an indication of where they're traveling. So again, now we're trying to torpedo this guy, lining up the white box, which is where I'm aiming, with a darker gray. And he shot torpedoes at me, so I'm trying to avoid them as well. And so he's taking evasive maneuvers, but unfortunately for him, we were able to hit him, and this game's over. So torpedoes are a lot of fun to play with. They're a little tricky, they take a while to get used to, but keep practicing with them. They are the deadliest weapon in the game. And so, looking again at the diagram, now this is a battleship, so it's going to be hard for me to penetrate him, but you can see I got 2 of the 4 guns. That's kind of, you want to be cognizant of how you're angling your ship. If I turn it to the right a little bit, then 4 guns will be able to hit him. If I turn to the left, then only the front gun will be able to hit it. So that's another complex aspect to keep in mind. But right now I'm kind of keeping my ship angled like this to maximize my armor. Well, I want 2 of my guns to be able to hit him. But if he decides to shoot at me, I don't want to present my broadside to him. Now see when these shots are landing, there's 4 icons over there with the bullets, or the shells. The left one is a full penetration hit. The second one, which is there, was a block shot. The third one means the shot went all the way through without exploding, so that does 10% damage. And the fourth one is a bounce. And if you would need to rewind just a little bit to look at those icons again and pause it. But just left to right is penetration, block shot, and then overpen it's called is the third one, and then ricochet is the fourth one. So if you're overpenning, that means your armor piercing rounds, the charge on it, like the shell's going at through the hull of the ship with such a high velocity that it actually exits through the far side of the ship without exploding. So if you see that happening over and over again, you want to switch to high explosive rounds. So if you're fighting like a lightly armored ship, like a destroyer, for instance, if you're shooting AP at destroyers, typically they'll go through without exploding. So for destroyers, it's generally a good idea to shoot high explosive rounds at them all the time. High explosive rounds do have a chance to set the deck of the ship on fire, cause damage that way, but they typically do less damage. So, again, this is a very complex subject, and we'll be covering it more in depth in future videos, but I'm just trying to give you a basic overview. So, armor penetrating rounds, use it for heavily armored targets. And then high explosive, if you're not doing any damage with those rounds, then switch to high explosive. So now we have a little bit of a downtime. You can see on the map there's 2 gray icons. Those are the last known positions of the enemy ships. So here our team's just kind of sitting on their cap, accruing points, waiting for them to kind of come back. Now I'm keeping in mind where they were last sighted, and then kind of now he pops up there. And so I kind of had my ship ready to, I figured he'd be coming in broadside, so he had armor piercing set up, and I was kind of set up to have all 4 guns firing. If he starts shooting me, I'm going to try and change my angle to maximize my armor. But now he's doing a good job of kind of zigging and zagging. A lot of new players right out of the box will just kind of not change their trajectory a lot. You want to be zigging, zagging, and making it as hard as you can for the other people to shoot you. And then switch between your armor, piercing, and high explosive often. When you start playing battleships, there's really long reloads on those, so it's harder to do that. But for these ships that have relatively short reloads, you know, just have to keep it in mind what the ship's doing and switch your rounds back and forth as need be. And you can see I'm basically stopped here. I'm kind of using the island as cover for the guy on my right, and we're just trying to deal with this guy. And looks like that one, he actually shot at us here, so now we're down to the 1 tank. And, or not tanks, sorry. Play a lot of World of Tanks and make videos of those if you're new to the channel, so I'll probably say tank here and there. But we kind of knew where he was. He's in and out of our team's vision, but I just kind of, at this point I figure the other guys in my team will probably kill him before I can get to him, but just in case they don't, I'll kind of sail towards them and try and get the kill shot. But so yeah, that's a fairly typical game. As you gain more experience, play it kind of slower. Like I say, a lot of new players will play it kind of like what I call low-tier tanks combat cards, you know. So that's it, guys. If you liked the video, please hit the thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. If you have any questions on the game, which I'm sure there are plenty of, please leave them below in the comments, and I'll try and answer them as best I can. And we'll see y'all later. All right, peace.